Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is yet another outrageous example of the Scottish prison service, where a person who was a man, is a man, changed gender to a woman and is now in the women's prison because he didn't commit a crime against a woman, so considered safe, and has now been charged while in jail for battering a woman. And as far as I know, is still in the jail, in the women's wing. Now, this incredible story that came out over the last few days, and its origins of it's an old story. There was a guy called Laing, Peter Laing, born Peter Laing, who now identifies as a female and is incarcerated in the women's wing of HMP Edinburgh. Peter and two of his friends were committed to jail for murder. Between the three of them, I'll just get the details of it, they murdered a man in Fife. Murdered a man called Robert Shankland in 2013 and was ordered to serve 18 years before being able to apply for parole. Green and his pals Kevin McDonagh and Dean Smith invited Robert, who was 45, to a party in Green's flat in Glenrothes in March of 2013. The trio then tied him up and tortured him for hours, beating him so badly they left a footprint on his neck. They also sexually assaulted him with a rolling pin. Robert, who suffered from heart disease, died as a result of either suffocation or blunt force injuries. Along with Green, McDonagh, who were then 20, and Smith, 23, they were also found guilty of murdering Robert and all jailed for life. So that was the story. And Green presented as a woman and was housed in Her Majesty's Prison, Edinburgh, in the female wing. And then recently, an extraordinary case. This trans killer, Adajah Arami, a female prison officer, was injured while in the women's wing. Now, apparently, the only male prisoners who tell us they're trans that will be considered for a place in a women's prison are apparently ones who committed crimes against men. And I can't see the logic in that. I just don't think it should be there at all. But to say, well, if they didn't commit a crime against a woman, then their safety would put in a women's wing or prison. And that's just bonkers to me. Because these women in that wing are in close confinement with a man who was a murderer. Quite a severe murder case that I've just read out to you. If that man had committed murder against a woman, they wouldn't be given the right to be in a women's wing. That's what we're told. And this theory is just bonkers. And the other thing it shows, the famous Isla Bryson case, which was at the end of O.J. Sturgeon's reign as First Minister, which highlighted the ludicrousy in our prison system up here in Scotland. People thought that it was quite a, that was maybe a one-off and there wasn't a lot of people doing this. And I've heard from people who have been in prison, females, one in particular, in this very prison in Edinburgh, who came into contact, well, not in there for a long time, with about 6 or 7 men. And one point with a murderer who she described to me as foreign, and who had, when you worked out when was sentenced and when started living as a female, only became a female, alleged female, after committing murder. And it's horrific. So this, now Paris Green, was charged initially with assaulting the victim by forcibly pushing a door in August 2023. And this trans killer admitted culpable in reckless conduct after a female member of staff was injured at the women's wing of the Scottish prison. Paris Green was initially charged with assaulting the victim by forcibly pushing a door in August 2023. 2023, but this month, March 2025, the 33-year-old pled guilty to amended charge of culpable and reckless conduct at Edinburgh Sheriff Court and was admonished. So this man is now able to go back in to a women's prison. And it just actually beggars belief. And call me old-fashioned, but I kind of care for the safety of females. I'm, that old-fashioned women and children first philosophy that many think is redundant is still quite dear to me. And I don't think I'm alone, and I don't think I'm in a minority. I think I'm probably in the vast majority of males in the United Kingdom. And hat off to the women's groups who are highlighting this. And the Daily Record had some quotes from Susan Smith, who's a spokeswoman for Women's Scotland campaign group. And she said, "This illustrates the abject idiocy of the notion that a violent male prisoner convicted of murdering or assaulting other men will be restrained and gentle towards women. Paris Green is clearly a danger to all women in that unit and should have been removed at once." And you can't help agree with that sort of logic. That's just where any normal person should be. The fact that we've got to have campaign groups set up to fight this sort of nonsense is absolutely ridiculous. And I would love to know how many, and then when people ask the prison service about it, they say, "Oh, we don't talk about individual prisoners." So I would love to know how many men are in women's jails or women's wings of jails currently in Scotland, and why. It's just bonkers. The woman that told me a story about being in Edinburgh, HMP Edinburgh, said that she was put in a unit where it was 10 cells, and she was put in one. They were in a corridor, segregated from everyone else, and they were one-person cells. And in that area, there was 9 other prisoners. There's only one other as a woman, present as a woman, and the 8 other ones, 7 of them were men pretending to be women, and one of them was a man who was pregnant. And that's in one prison, in one block in the prison. Now, they might have put them all together for safety reasons or whatever, I don't know. But that's the sort of nonsense that's going on in our jails. And it's absolutely bonkers. And it doesn't need to be that way. And somebody, some point's got to get into Holyrood and do something about this. And this is the sort of stuff that I would fight if I'm fortunate enough to get voted into Holyrood in 2026, sorry. Because it's just bonkers. It melts your head. And these women that are in there, obviously you would imagine, unless they're in remand, they've been found guilty of a crime, but that doesn't make them any less human beings or any, the stuff we do, particularly for foreign people who have committed crimes, and we've got EHRC rules that we must abide, and no send them home and all this nonsense. Well, where's the rights of these women in prison? I would imagine being in a prison, you're still afforded the right of relative safety. That would be quite nice. And I kind of don't know how. The only way you can do it is maybe put them into types of settings that I've described earlier, where you're putting them in segregation away. But that's the extra costs and stuff. Again, we don't need that. Where is the rights of the victims? Where are the rights of the rest of the citizens, law-abiding citizens, who have to inevitably pay for these things? It is a nonsense, and it's got to be dealt with. And I understand and I believe that you should be safe in a prison if you're a woman, as safe as you can be, and putting any type of man in that sort of setting is obviously putting the people there at risk. And we can put in the bin this notion that men that carry out crimes against men are somehow just going to be so much different and kinder to women. This case proves that, as the Susan Smith has highlighted from For Women's Scotland group. So If you enjoyed the video, don't think you've enjoyed it. If you want other people to see it, then you can do 3 things to help do that. You can hit the thumbs up, you can put some comments, and you can hit share. That all helps drive the video. And if you've not already done so, please consider hitting the subscribe and the notification bell. But most importantly of all, unless you're the type of person that thinks this is all right, putting dangerous men in situations with women, then no you. But
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.